Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. It's the first iteration of Soapbox as we know it, because we used to be called something else, and we went through a little bit of a change of leadership, as you can call it. I would appreciate some silence. Some silence. Thank you. We're at a literary reading. It's very serious. It's very important. Thank you. Thank you. If the room could quiet down for a bit, thank you. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to Emmy. Thank you. And to Ben, who have been an immense help running this whole thing. It's been amazing. It's been a really good time. And I'm just very happy that I get to combine my two great loves, which are literature and drinking. Woo! So we're gonna hear from 4 amazing readers tonight. We're gonna stagger them 2 and 2, so that it's just gets the night going. And I think I'm gonna let Emmy introduce our first 2 readers, or it's introduction then reader, introduction then reader, right? Okay. Well, enjoy.
Just looking. Hi. Are we excited to hear some literature? Yay! So our first reader is going to be Zoe. I don't know where you are, Zoe. Yay! So talented, so pretty. Okay, I'm going to read her bio. Here we go. I didn't ask how to pronounce your last name, and I'm Lutbetgen. Lutbetgen. Zoe Lutbetgen. It's a beautiful name. Zoe Lutbetgen is a writer from Michigan. Her fiction and reporting can be found in, respectively, Carte Blanche and the East Hampton Star. Her story, Too Big, The Perfect Size, is forthcoming in Yoke after receiving 2nd place in the inaugural Montreal Fiction Prize. Her favorite form is email, and her favorite many is 2.
Thank you. This is really high. Okay. No, it's okay. I'll just, this is, I think it's good. Okay, cool, thank you. Thank you for introducing me. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to be reading a short story. I wrote called The Special. Is this good? Yes. Yay, okay. The day they raided the Happy Ending massage parlor, the parcel arrived on your doorstep like a virgin, unopened, as all good packages do. It was not meant for you. Written on its belly was a name far from yours, Elegy Erotic Massage. This building was across the street. Their open sign was on all night. The handwriting on the package was more swirl than line. It was a script that wanted things. It wanted this package to be opened by hands that opened other things too. At your lunch break, you resolved to take the package across the street. You said lunch break, but really you could take it whenever you wanted. You work from home. Each day you go through medical PowerPoints to collect their abbreviations and put them in a big list, unfurled. The slides are filled with spells that clinical trial drugs cast on the body. Take an MAB, monoclonal sorry. Okay, I'll let you sit.
Come closer.
No, it's okay. I want you all to be here. Yeah, yay. 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 Okay. So, yes. The slides are filled with spells that clinical trial drugs cast on the body. Take an MAB, monoclonal antibody, that causes an AE, adverse event, results in a BOR, best overall response, or becomes NE, not valuable. Do this Q2W every 2 weeks. Glaze your eyes from computer to window, an unweighted gaze. Watch the girls from the massage parlor smoke on their break. At what could be lunch, your legs let you fall down the stairs with the package in the crook of your arm. You were thinking about how each time they called, your parents asked what your company does. But what do you know of vocation? Your job has drawn out the vacated body in words you can't pronounce. On the street, some of the girls were outside. There were cops also outside, and they were escorting more girls in robes out from the storefront. Their robes looked clean and flushed with soft terry cloth, the kind left in a hotel bathroom on vacation with your parents. When the girls spoke, the cops listened. You couldn't make out what they were saying. You just watched their lips bubble in circles and sometimes press into lines. One girl stood apart from the others. She looked bored, but also smart, like she knew things about the body and its ticking and its shame. No jargon, just two hands to make a whole. She could articulate a glittering eyelid or an arpeggio of bated breath in phrases far from the medical terms you unravel, the abbreviations you've never spoken, just seen. Her hair was long and pushed behind her ears. You couldn't see much below her neck. You went up to her and she looked at you, your coat pulled over the shirt you'd slept in, jeans way too long, pulling on the ground. "Do you have another appointment?" she said when she saw you, muscle memory maybe. But your face was blank, so she pivoted. "Sorry, I'm Celia. Can I help you?" You were closest to the street, farthest from the cops, who were going through the pack girl by girl. You looked up at her. You were the same height, but somehow you still looked up, and offered the bubble mailer under your arm. "I received this, I think by mistake." She tore it open. It swelled with packing peanuts before a coupon spun out. You both leaned forward, the one, the special, two beneficiaries of what appeared to be a limited time 2-for-1. "Oh," she said, "the promotion." Ink marked the coupon in her hand in imprecise loops. The loop said that the first massage had been completed, and another happy ending was now possible for free. What a waste, that it had been sent back unrealized, that the package had come instead to you. "It's not yours," she said. You shifted to your other hip, your mouth opened slightly, and your eyes narrowed. You tried to say, "Of course not," or maybe, "I've never been here," but what emerged from your lips into the silence of her regard was, "I've been here?" There was a cop behind her now, and he touched her on the robe shoulder, and she turned away before she could nod. You started tracing the handwriting on the coupon. You traced it so hard the warmth of your fingers smeared the ink. "This is my signature," you said. She turned to look at you, all open like an offering, standing with the coupon red in your palm. In her eyes was a chord of pity, diminished, marked by its reprieve. The girls in their terry robes parted as you turned to leave. They had straight eyebrows and unflushed cheeks. Their lips were red with speech, dark eyes with white where the lightness should be. When you turned back, Celia was offering the cops her ID. She glanced at you, Celia, and in her gaze was a question, and at the end of that question was a name, and the name you knew was yours. And there was no judgment in the articulation, no muscle to be pressed into place, just a negotiation, an uncorking, of your nature and how at its root it corresponded evenly to hers. After all, you'd only taken a massage once, a Monday at midday. You had expected to be flushed with desire or butting up against the corners of your body, but instead your head filled with silly things. You thought in an ecstatic list. You chronicled the massage's TRAEs, treatment-related adverse events. You felt hunger, then SOB, shortness of breath, fatigue, HTN, hypertension, a bubbling, you couldn't see her fingers, her hands. BOR-NR, best overall response not reached. With the package under your arm, you crossed the street, and you and your cheeks red with guilt and wind disappeared behind the door. In the evening, your roommate came home and asked about work. She doesn't know what you do because you don't know either, what treatment you're trying, the best it could be. You just read the abbreviations and pull them apart like string cheese. You told your roommate about the girls and their cops, didn't mention the special. You both went to the window where the open sign flickered weakly. "I'm glad," your roommate said. "I never see anyone go in there." Below, the cops pulled away in their white minivan. One girl sat still on the stoop. Her hair was pulled back and her face was pulled sharp, scrunched like a fresh pack of cards. You wondered if she would work tomorrow. Her hands, were they calloused? Could you fit them in your mouth? You couldn't see from the window. You felt like a child with the heat of how bad you needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. And you can read her story coming out in Yoke I'm not sure of the date, but it is coming out. So keep an eye on Yoke, because it's a great magazine anyway. And I'm sorry, Instagram is just playing a video. Thank you all for coming also. I feel very blessed to be a part of this, and it's just nice to like see the community come together. Okay, next up is Curtis. I can see him. Curtis John McCrae's debut short story collection, Quietly Loving Everyone, is forthcoming with Vehicule Press, winter 2025. Woo! Pre-order it in his Instagram bio, please. Curtis is the editor-in-chief and co-founder of Yoke. Yeah, a lot of that. His fiction has appeared in the New Quarterly, Prairie Fire, and others. It's ominous. He sits on the board of directors for the Quebec Writers Federation and teaches English literature at John Abbott College. Yeah. He swears that while writing one night, he levitated from his chair.
And others means minor, obscure journals. So just bridge it in that sort of term. No one ever believes me about the levitating part. Do you want to see me levitate? Do you want to see me levitate? No. Maybe after the reading. So I have a collection of short stories coming out with Vehicle Press in 2025. Thank you. So I'm going to read a story from that. It's called Ulcers Singing. It's the first part of the story, so it's incomplete. We call that a cliffhanger in the business. Get you hooked. There's a grieving process with chronic illness that's like this antiquated thing that feels like adjacent to grieving the loss of a loved one, and they're very different experiences. So this story is like reimagining the grieving process, and it's using a poem by Robert Hass called Faint Music. So I'll read the quote that it draws from that inspires the story, but it's broken up into 3 parts based off that grieving process. So I'm going to read the first part of the story. But the quote from Robert Hass goes, "I had the idea that the world's so full of pain, it must sometimes make a kind of singing. And that sequence helps as much as order helps. First an ego, and then pain, and then the singing." So the first part of the story, Ulcers Singing, is called First an Ego. So I'll read that. Since 9 a.m., the alarm on my phone had been going off every 9 minutes. It was 9:47. "Sal!" I woke up to my roommate banging on my bedroom door. The days began to feel like circuitry, electrical and circular. The onslaught of nurses, general physicians, and gastroenterologists warned that the onset of a chronic illness typically triggered depression, but the diagnosis brought on a newfound energy. I felt an electric current running through my intestines. With all the appointments, the weeks felt circular but different, spiraling. I untangled myself from the sheets and swung my legs over the side of the bed. In the bathroom mirror, the reflection staring back at me reminded me of some lines by a prized Montreal poet, Quincy Jones, as it often did. My toothbrush stood amongst a sea of pill bottles. The electric head whirred, straining to clean plaque from my teeth and tossing pellets of spit onto the mirror. I'd recite the lines while brushing, the words progressively unintelligible as my mouth filled with toothpaste, clearing once more every time I spit. The lines. I am electric orange hair, unkempt, untidy on this blossomed head that aches and pains from lack of water. My teeth stained red, tongue coarse, for I sit and sip this wine. A day is a day is a day. Widow's Peak emerging, eye emerging, glasses like my grandfather's, large and round, head like my father's, large and round, teeth like my mother's, a necklace of rubbing pearls. I am rubbing, friction beneath both eyes, behind spectacles. I watch this charade pass me by, all smiles and laughter, tears in both eyes. I rinsed, gurgled, spit, and winked at the man winking back at me, both our breaths smelling like gin. Still drunk, we thought. The birds chirped a merry song outside. They were sober. My roommate, Donnie Gaptooth Weston, was waiting outside the bathroom for me in the narrow hallway leading to our front door. I made you some scrambled eggs. I started cooking them when your alarm went off. They're cold now. He stood with crossed arms and didn't move when I brushed past him. I'll leave them in the pan, he said. All right. I coiled my scarf around my neck. Thank you, Donnie Gaptooth Weston. Shutting the door behind me, I heard Donnie through the Mayflower glass pane. Don't be loud when you come in tonight. The frozen wrought iron banister transferred through my leather glove and cooled my hand, but descending a flight of outdoor stairs during a Montreal winter without a railing was a suicide mission. I funneled towards Notre Dame Street, passing by the uniform red brick buildings of St. Henry, all of them the same, but different. It had been 3 months since my diagnosis, and I couldn't tell if it had been 3 weeks. The first few days had felt clearer, like a light fog had been removed. Every event was imbued with more meaning. It had stripped back the ambiguity from what I was doing. The ulcers themselves were benign but rampant, and if we couldn't manage them through medication, they would likely become malignant and lead to something more sinister. The debilitating symptoms and vague threat of death by cancer loomed over my head, all of which was enough to disrupt my days. I bought my groceries and knew better than the rest of those aisle-browsing turkeys how I would die. They sniffed fruit rinds and lifted those dead stuffed birds into their carts without any idea how they would be stuffed. I whistled through the same aisles, pushing a cart with its one loose wheel, and knew about my inevitable stuffing. I was better for it. I had something to point at, something to wake me up and make me live. When the soil ate of me, my maker would too, and he'd spit me back out. Foul. What is that? He would ask, pointing at my corpse. Salted intestines garnished with fresh ulcers, my dead body would reply. The novelty soon worn off. Chickens looked like chickens. The days bled into each other. I took the underground metro tunnels to appointments and sometimes to my university classes, the carts moving through a subterranean peristalsis, slinking through the underbelly of the city, gusts of wind passing through. When I got to the second floor of the Jewish General Hospital's C Wing, I checked in with the regular receptionist who never recognized me. She was either a middle-aged woman or a very tired younger lady, and I wondered if she recognized anyone. I sat and waited for her to call my name. The waiting room had 4 white walls like any other waiting room, but they were different. They looked whiter, the air carrying a surplus of oxygen. There were posters framed along the wall, and one read, "Psychological stages of chronic illness and strategies to help you cope." I looked around the room. There was no one else sitting there. It must have been for me. Stage 1, denial. Stage 2, anger. Stage 3, bargaining. Good God, why me? Couldn't it be anyone else? I mean, what about Donnie Gaptooth Furlow or Quincy? I'd do anything at all. My Hulu password. Oh. Do you have a pen? Stage 4, depression. I was missing class with guaranteed doctor's notes and in certain cases was exempt from writing assignments. If anyone was depressed, it was my professors. Stage 5, acceptance. Reading the poster, I got the feeling that this was an antiquated 5-step process closer to mourning the death of a loved one. They were due for an update, though I didn't know what that looked like. Maybe I'd soon advise them. The radiator gurgled up spit and coughed into the clean air. I looked around the room. and there was still no one there. So I leaned back and closed my eyes, a wide grin on my face emerging. Thank you. Thank you. Later on in that story, there's a scene where the protagonist is on ketamine and gets a colonoscopy. And there's a camera on the probe, and he's so high, it's being projected on a screen, and he thinks he's watching Star Wars. So you're going to have to buy the book to hear that. That's it for me. Thank you for the organizers. Y'all are great. Thank you very much.
Did you say the pre-order is available now?
Pre-order is, thank you. My agent, Gwen, and publicist, thank you very much. It's available now. You can find it on Amazon. The book is called Quietly Loving Everyone. I'm not one for empty promises, but sorry, before I say that, also, what a stacked lineup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like a ball.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I might link my ting from barking. 7 a.m. in the morning. She's calling, I'm yawning. She's jarring, no stalling. I might link my ting from barking. 7 a.m. in the morning. She's calling, I'm yawning. She's jarring, no stalling. I might link my ting from barking. 7 a.m. in the morning. She's calling, I'm yawning. She's jarring, no stalling. I might link my ting from barking. 7 a.m. in the morning. She's calling, I'm yawning. She's jarring, no stalling. I'm icy. I got a tick from my head to my feet, that's Nike, and that's pricey. You see them guys over there, they ain't like me. I got a Portuguese thing, not wifey. She said my temper's tiny. I got 2 different roles like Miley. You hit me up, that's unlikely. But I walked in a rave with a fresh trim, showing my Colgate teeth. Yeah, they're looking at me.
girls who make love, but I love girls who like to fuck. That's what's up. I like tall girls, small girls, girls with dicks, call girls, girls who get naked on the grill. They say I'm too fucking horny, wanna put me in a cage. I'll probably fuck a hole in the wall that got before. Mate, I like girls who pregnant, girls who give it up for land, girls who so fucking kinky that they're bad. I like the girls that do drugs, girls with cigarettes in the back of the club, girls that hate cops and buy guns, girls with no buns, cause it's me just for fun. I like girls who make love, but I love girls who like to fuck.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I like the girls that do drugs. I like the girls who like to lie that they came, girls who fuck on the train, girls who got so much hair on their ass it clogs a drain. I like girls who got degrees, girls on killing sprees. I like girls who got a bone to pick with me. I like the girls that do drugs, girls with cigarettes in the back of the club, girls that hate cops and buy guns, girls with no buns, cause it's me just for fun. I like girls who make love, but I love girls who like to fuck.
That's what's up.
Flirting with death in a sense, but blessed nevertheless. The second best in the sense I stand up to the test. Real in the flesh, standing straight, and I'm sponsored by fate. I separate from the fake in the specialist way. Forever Jane, by the way, put the 9 on the 8. It's a mistake if you wait for me another day. I say the praise for the sake of destruction await me at the gate, beyond pain in a natural place.
Summertime blood, wash your hands, check the lights on. We not really on the same level, we some icons. If the shoe fits, neon lights, see the signs on. Summertime tears, green cemetery sights on. You ain't gotta figure me out of what I'm on. Baby, I'ma take you all the way, check the flights on.
Let's go play this game like it matters. Wakefulness is back in fashion. Nowadays, everywhere I look, I see patterns. Carousel, carry me along, go faster. Afterlife, living happily ever after. Looking back, right back down on me, no answers. Oh, I know, it's no use. I know it's no use to resist you.
Summertime blood, wash your hands, check the lights on. We not really on the same level, we some icons. If the shoe fits, neon lights, see the signs on. Summertime tears, green cemetery sights on. You ain't gotta figure me out of what I'm on. Baby, I'ma take you all the way, check the flights on.
Carry me along, go faster. Forever Jane, by the way, go faster. It's a mistake if you wait, go faster. I say the praise for the sake, go faster. Carry me along, go faster. Backless club, no shame, no manners. Brutal grace, divine compassion. Let's go play this game like it matters. Wakefulness is back in fashion. Nowadays, everywhere I look, I see patterns. Carousel, carry me along, go faster. Afterlife, living happily ever after. Looking back, right back down on me, no answers.
Yes, sir. What I got now won't be here again. Let the sunshine shine right in. Everywhere we go, they let us in. Smoking hair and it smell like mint. Timberlands stomp, go stomp it in. Timberland stomp, go stomp it in. Stomp it in, stomp it in. Hey, stop, 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 stop. Change it up, I'm taking too far. Some go home and some go hard. Velvet sky, I'm a velvet star. Pull up in a black painted car. Yeah. Velvet sky, I'm a velvet star. Pull up in a black painted car.
Eggs on the line, paradise, it calls on me. The fall, the rising, yeah, rose gold rain. Nothing's left in the waste, it's been real, it's been too real. Eggs on the line, paradise, it calls on me. Take the leap, make it steep.
Is it on? Okay. Can I get everybody's attention, please? Thank you. Okay, so there was police outside, and yes, thank you. They threatened us with a fine if you guys keep taking your booze outside. Boom. But if you guys are having fun at our event and would like to come to another one, then please don't get us a fine and our liquor license revoked. So just keep the booze inside, please. And if you're going out for a smoke or whatever, just drop it inside. I don't know. I'm not good at authoritative. Just don't take it outside. It's fine. But yeah, now I'm gonna ask Emmy. Yes, to introduce our next two readers. And please do not take your alcohol outside. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Are we ready for the next readers? I'm so excited to hear that. Just to reiterate, do not bring your drinks outside. Can I get a cheer for that? Woo! I know it's all ACAB, but also money. So, next up, we have Gwen. Where are you, Gwen? You're right there. We love Gwen. She's awesome. And here's her bio. And can we all yeah, like it's kindergarten, just I love that. Yeah, yes. Okay. Gwen Aub is a working class poet living in Montreal. Did I say it wrong?
No. I'm just laughing at myself.
I like your bio, it's good. Gwen Aub is a working class poet living in Montreal, Quebec. Her debut collection, Missed Connections with Tall Girls, releases spring 2026 with Little Puss Press. Is there a pre-order?
No, not at all.
There's no pre-order, but keep a lookout for it. Her work has appeared in the Gay and Lesbian Review, Room Magazine, Expat Press, and Contemporary Verse 2. She is co-editor of Maybe Mag, which is really cool. I was in the first one, and a little more. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more. Look out for Maybe Mag. Here's Gwen.
Hi, thank you all for coming. All right. Now we're starting the woke LGBT half of the night with me and Misha. All right. You're too excited. It's fine. No. All right. I got 4 poems for you of varying lengths. The first one is dedicated to this fine evening, and it goes as follows. I tell everyone to come to my reading. Not for me, but the open bar, $25 and the infinite cup of heaven. Pretend to take a lover and you leave the line double fisting. More even, the heart gaped with free love movements, forever rediscovering the rawhide drum, the druidic circle below the moon. Instead of my reading, you're in the gallery in St. Petersburg. They've got that Matisse painting. It's a wonderful idea, the moon and dancing below it. At the drugstore today, I posed as if with tuberculosis for a health card. I feel stupid reading the diaries of Victorian teenagers. It's all the health insurance, the light pollution. The moon used to have friends. Don't you remember the 60s? Beer going down. Don't you remember the 60s? Allen Ginsberg, Wanda Coleman, Tom Wolfe trailing dime square hipsters for his Substack. Bananas bought for the free love movement of drain flies rising and collapsing societies in my sink. Happenings of maggots in the French press, abandoned in lieu of all my lovers. Anyone who comes to my reading, anyone who drinks anywhere on earth, so long as it is heavy and cheap. On a dating app, I met a sailor who had lost 2 fingers and now she's gone. Not out to sea, but the app, quote, expires matches, and I did nothing to prevent this. A sort of tide pulling out. The moon, there she is again. The sailor, she would be just like the moon, dancing shit-faced drums. It's $25 for an open bar, infinite cup of heaven. Not a tide, but a deluge unceasing for all time. Not an act of God, but an act which God has unmade himself to see through wet nimbus old fag eyes like Ginsberg. Remember Ginsberg? Remember wolves at the gates, the clan huddled around the fire? Remember fire? Sorry, I feel stupid. I was discovering the avant-garde all morning and it took me hours to get out of bed. A woman I know calls this luxuriating. Remember tuberculosis? That mark of genius relegated not to history, but outside the continent, outside the distended ever-future of empire. The Jetsons on VHS. I'm old fag enough for this. Like Ginsberg or Whitman or cheap booze. $25 for the infinite cup of heaven. In my health card photo, I'm glowing. In the poem, I am elsewhere feeling stupid. You can't see the stars from here. The glowing is coming from the moon. Come to my reading. It's $25. Flesh upon flesh. Beating. Heaven. 2 mouths like a cup, an armpit like a chalice. In the fire, I am glowing. In the poem, I am going stupid. That druidic circle the moon. In the Matisse painting, for the first time, we taste heaven. No shit. Shut the fuck up! No. Thank you, Emmy and Ari and Ben, for having me. Thank you, Misha and Curtis and Zoe, for reading alongside. All right, I got 3 more poems. This next one is a little longer. It is called 4-Page Park Poem. Because there is a feeling in my chest which is usually expressed on screen by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and because Philip Seymour Hoffman is dead, I walk to the thrift store and buy a large bedsheet. At home, I pin the large bedsheet to my wall and write everything I have ever wanted on the bedsheet. By the time I am done writing, it is 11 p.m., and walking to the river takes an hour, so by the time I reach the river, it is 12 a.m. At the river, I wrap myself in the sheet, take off my shoes, and step into the river. I was going to swim naked in the river with the bedsheet, but the water is too cold, and I do not want anything that much. Except money, which I did not write on the bedsheet because that seemed wrong and evil, because I hold a distrust of material desire of any kind as a score on the soul, because me and the river exist in a long part of history in which material desire has severed us from heaven, because there are too many streetlights here to see the sky. I imagine that the sky is a blanket crocheted by my Aunt Sherry, because my Aunt Sherry crocheted my baby blanket, and she used blue and green and yellow and white, and those would be very nice colors for the sky to be if the sky had any colors, but it does not. Because there are streetlights we have built together to help me see in the dark, and so I am aware of many things, like the man walking his dog at the other end of the park who is too far away to consider whether he will make eye contact with me, though I am free to stare at him. Because with enough distance, you can stare at people with dogs and pretend you are staring at their dog, even though I'm not very interested in dogs. Because I watched 2 large dogs rip apart my cat when I was 5. In a game of tug-of-war, one holding our cat's hind legs and the other holding our cat's neck and face, because we did not have a fence between our backyard and the alleyway, because it would be 2 decades before my mom got a dog of her own to fence in, because my stepdad had so much metal in his lungs he was dying and she needed someone to keep her safe. Because I moved across the country to stare at a man across the park near the river at the end of the island holding a bedsheet covered in Sharpie in an attempt to feel young and spontaneous again. Because most of my new friends are 4 to 10 years younger than me and are regularly surprised that I am 29. Because I'm energetic in all social situations and have a pronounced and constant sense of naive wonder. Because I read a lot of books written when naive wonder was last en vogue, I think. And because my new friends are probably not as self-conscious about whether naive wonder has returned in vogue or if proper irony has won again. because when I was 4 to 10 years younger, I read essays about this sort of thing, but now I mostly stare at the river, because the only thing we know for certain is that the man across the park is not a strong man, and his dog could tear apart his body in an alarmingly short period of time. And love. We are really certain of love. Because yesterday I called my mom and we bitched about some stuff and she sounded happy. The man at the other end of the park is smoking a cigarette. Because smoking cigarettes is cool, and despite what you seem to think, we do not get to decide what is cool, no matter how hard we try. Or maybe he started because he learned, like me 4 to 10 years ago, that you can put a little puck of cigarette in a metal tube affixed to a bong and smoke it, and in Southern Ontario, this is called smoking poppers. Yeah! Hell yeah! Wow, poppers fans. Which I did for a couple years without ever buying a pack of cigarettes by collecting cigarette butts off the ground, and sometimes from the ashtray while visiting my mom. Until I ran into a friend who said he did that until he had to get a heart monitor, and I went home and threw my poppers bong in someone else's dumpster. It occurs to me that the man at the park has been here for a while, and that he must really enjoy the park or the river or his dog. It occurs to me that I really enjoy the park, the river, and the convenience of his dog for covert surveillance purposes. I stare at the white wall of a large house bordering the park and fantasize about collecting thousands of cigarettes off the ground as a 29-year-old woman in a new city, smoking the cigarettes at an alarming rate, visiting a doctor monthly, each time asking if I qualify for a heart monitor. Until finally, the worried and confused doctor lets me get a heart monitor. And I will call my mom and tell her I got a heart monitor, and she will stop smoking cigarettes, and she will live for a very, 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 very long time. Okay, I got 2 more. Is that okay? All right, okay, hell yeah, okay. All right, this next one goes out to a gal in the audience, Alana Dunlop, who read it the first. All right, it is called After Alana's Launch, I. After Alana's launch, I am flanked by eerily handsome twins running the new Mile End Lit Mag. One probes me for my lore. Oh yeah, so I'm from Windsor. It's like Southern Ontario across from Detroit. I say this every time, centering my proximity to America. Back home, this is embarrassing, but here it plays off with intrigue. Here half the Anglos are from Ottawa with scars on their soft bellies. Fuck you. Fuck Ottawans. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I love Ottawa. Yeah. I love the gallery there. Anyways, here half the Anglos are from Ottawa, who I love, with scars on their soft bellies where they retch the umbilical lanyard to V Bohem and least transfer city. All right, we got some dialogue tags here. Twin, did you visit Detroit often? Gwen, yeah, punk shows and galleries, but then I lost my passport over there. Twin, did you lose it while getting hate crimed? I blush and snort gin. I like boys who play rough like this. The light is soft and dim and he and I network a little. The key to networking is to be fun, available, flirty, and obvious. Tell everyone you are a needy girl who knows how to perform, then disappear for a refill. Alana finds me drunk and joyous. We're all so proud of her. She pulls me into the bathroom. I either did coke or watched the girls do coke. I don't remember. Alana, did you know those guys are feds? Gwen, what, LMAO? Alana, okay, so the one brother is a journalist who was hanging around Lebanon. The one you were talking to is literally an intelligence officer in the Navy. Later, with a wink, I asked if he dogged the Communist Party around 2018. He grins, yeah, maybe I did, then off again. Outside the bar, some drunk ranting in my ear about the news. I don't really listen. I stare at the sky where stars should be and wait for the girls to appear. A car blares Brazilian funk and I dance alone on the sidewalk, bumping into passerbys. The drunk is saying something about Putin. I say, isn't that the guy on the horse? Wishing I was stupid, spinning on a utility pole as the funk drives away. I should be an organizer again, I fantasize. Sure, none of them know how to talk to women, but at least there the pigs dig quietly in our mud, emulating shame. I love you. Okay. I bet. All right, I have one more to end the night. This is the only one from my forthcoming book of which there is no pre-order, so you shouldn't know it exists yet. That's the right way to do it. But I'm a whore for attention. Yeah, well, 2026, if you can hold your horses. Sorry? Yeah, it's like 1 year. Yeah. And a half. Yeah, I'll only be in my 30s. It's no big deal. It's totally fine. Yeah, it's chic. All right, I got one more short poem for you. It's called Raised by Wolves. This is the only one that's actually in my previous book. All right. Raised by Wolves. You really were the NB Dyke folk hero of the Grand River housing It's, I want joie de vivre, All right. You really were the NB Dyke folk hero of the Grand River housing projects. Your desktop tower full of Japanese autopsy photo sets, werewolf Omaroshi, Lincoln Park AMVs, Neopets begging for their lives as guts hung from their pixels like ball gowns. When I saw you at the bowling alley in 2015, I pretended not to know you, like a coward. You gave me my first cross-dressing fix at 12. I wish I could have fit those visual Kai dresses now. I was with this doll I was seeing at the bowling alley, but in the end she liked men, drove off in Daddy's old Rover. She was sweet, sure. I just get jealous sometimes of these girls with their surgeries and carbonated waters. Did you hear they took Amber's baby and gave her to her dad, the Hell's Angel? And did you hear she had another? Jade found me on Facebook. I never responded, and I should have. Did you hear she went full schizo and manages a Walmart? In the Inuyasha roleplay chat rooms, you were my clan mother, and you blessed me with a magenta left eye which saw the truth. I read about Montreal vaginoplasties in your bedroom, and you taught me everything I ever knew. I'm sorry. I believe in loyalty above all else. I am man's best friend. I will bury bones in any yard on this continent. People in high school said you ate out your dog, but I want you to know I never ever believed them. Thank you. I love you all. This is so sweet. Hell yeah. Have a good night.
Imagine if he came. That would have been funny. That would have been funny. One of those poems is very funny. If you know, then you know. And if you don't know, then yeah, like it's a great poem. That's all that, it was really good. You're really very talented. And I'm really glad that you came. And again, thank you to Curtis and Zoe and Gwen and Misha. It's very awesome. Okay, Misha's next. Are we excited? I have heard you read once and it blew my mind. And so I thought of you first, making this. And then also Curtis, because you're my friend, and Gwen, because you're my friend, and Zoe, because you're my friend. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Are we gonna waterfile? Quiet, shh, yay. Yeah. Misha Solomon is a homosexual poet in and of. I never learned how to pronounce it. Thank you to Takite. That's not good that I don't know how to say that. Yep. He is the author of 2 chapbooks, Florals, Above Ground Press, 2020, and Full Sentences, Turret House Press, 2022. His work has recently appeared or is forthcoming in Best Canadian Poetry, 2024, Augur, The Fiddlehead, very cool, Grain, the Malahat Review, Maybe Mag, shout out to Gwen. Sorry, I drank too many drinks. It's an open bar and I paid for it, so. What? Prism International and Riddle Fence. We love Misha. We're very excited. Get excited. Yay.
Hello, I'm 33, Gwen. Okay, so like, when I saw the address on the event and I looked it up and I saw a gallery, now I feel like I should have had much more like cummy fucky shit that I'm reading. But I'm still reading about cock. It's a little bit. But, okay, so I'm reading a series of prose sonnets that are part of an ongoing project with two other writers, Sasha Manoli and Andre Babin. I'm only reading the ones that I wrote, obviously. There's a series of them. That means multiple. Okay. Gay joke. After I bought the light bulbs, I changed them myself. I got up on my unfolded 3-step ladder and I gripped the old bulbs with one clammy hand and I twisted in the new bulbs. After I bought the light bulbs, I changed them myself for the first time. The joke isn't how many effete Jews it takes to screw in a light bulb, one. The joke is what does it take for one effete Jew to take control of the light bulb situation in his bathroom. The joke is the pride I felt after screwing in a few light bulbs, is the pride under the white glow of my new LED bulbs, looking a lot like how I felt when my mustache grew in thick, when man I was inside told me I was thick. The joke would be funny if you heard it in my voice. Louise Scott. The painting's frame was originally more Baroque, but G didn't like it, so my father offered to spray paint it off-white. I liked the gaudy gold frame, but G already didn't like the art itself, and love is compromise. My mother's dead gay friend gave me this painting for my bar mitzvah. He was alive then. In every upper middle class Jewish home in Montreal, you'll find a similar painting, moon-faced figures with Mona Lisa eyes at a carnival, or vaguely medieval, or lounging on a chaise, or my parents' upper duplex getting married. I have a boyfriend who has a foreskin and there's no middle class anymore, and so my walls need this painting or they're not mine. Self-love is also compromise. I tell myself it's a painting, but it's really just a print. Pill bottle. In a Reykjavik cab, Kay asks me a question and I begin to answer but stop halfway, stare out the window. There's a black sand beach with a whale skeleton or an icy waterfall or a lush waterfall, and then there's Kay. Hello, hey, hello, are you listening? What were you saying? I Google Prozac and one of the side effects is difficulty concentrating and remembering, and finally I feel special. Finally I feel my specialness is being reflected in special things happening to me like rare SSRI side effects. My therapist lowers my dose and I'm on and off meds for a few years and then I get a boyfriend. Far be it for me to suggest that a boyfriend is a cure for mental illness, but my friend Kay also stopped needing her meds when she got one. Semen contains serotonin, it's true. I read about it in a book once, back when my Prozac dose was too high. The candle. She says she can't watch that video right now or she'll melt down. If she weren't so serious, I tell her that's how candles grow stronger, more powerful. They drip down and, if you let them, expand and puddle, creeping, algal in their slow invasion. In college, I bought a candle, and every time she lit it, she would text me to have me text her 2 hours later to remind her to blow it out. A few times she didn't answer, and I had to leave class or a bar to go make sure she wasn't on fire. The maybe third time I asked her why she didn't just set herself an alarm, and she cried. If she hadn't cried, I'd have cried, but later. I can't recall a fourth time. Lead. My father used to melt down lead and we'd make creepy crawlers with it. I remember a metal Spider-Man, or maybe just a spider. Maybe it wasn't lead, that can't be right. But I can also feel a puddle of mercury passing between my fingers, dripping from one hand to the other. I can feel the mercury squeezing between my index and middle, I'm sure of it, but there's no way. My father used to drive so fast I'd cry. My father told me it was okay to cry, good to cry. My father only gives my puppy bottled water, too many heavy metals in the tap. We got some photos in the good shirt? Okay. Okay. Paper cut. I wanted so badly to put your bleeding finger in my mouth, but I wasn't sure you'd appreciate the gesture. You'd spent all day trying to perfect your folding technique only for the paper to betray you, to slice the tip of your index. I wish I had, but I'm glad I didn't. You wouldn't have liked it. You cringe when I drink Bloody Caesar, say they taste like what you remember blood tasting like from when you'd stick a bloody finger in your mouth as a child. I wish you'd stick a bloody finger in my mouth. I could let you know if your blood is redolent of Clamato. Mine isn't. If I asked nicely, you'd let me taste your blood, but there's nothing I desire less than sighing acceptance. I watched you fold that paper for hours. Just yesterday, you left the room while I was chopping carrots. Ties. Through elementary and high school, I had to wear a tie every day. Now I can go for years without tying one, and every time I'm shocked how fluidly I remember. People don't change, people say, and other people say people do change. A case study. My father owned for a time an upscale men's clothing store that carried cutting-edge fashions and upscale suits. Now he dresses almost exclusively in Costco. People say the clothes make the man, and I do feel like I'm meeting a more made version of my father when I wear his old Xenia tie. But other people say you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's true. The first few years of elementary school, we were allowed to wear zip-up ties, and you simply couldn't tell who our fathers were. Delta Quadrant. My father calls to ask if I want my old day camp lunch bag, even though my mother told him I'm too fancy for it now. He remembers I wanted it back then because Voyager was my favorite Star Trek series. On Voyager, they're lost in deep space. They're not just exploring, there's pathos. They're trying to get home, and plus there's a female captain, and I was a gay child. My father would make my lunches. He was the cook, but my mother would pack them, would write me love notes every day, and I do remember the notes more than I remember the turkey sandwiches. My father didn't really like Voyager. He preferred the original series or The Next Generation or even Deep Space Nine, if you can believe it. But now he'll often ask me if I want to sit on the couch with him and watch it. He's kidding, but I told him I wanted the bag. Seashells. My father's mother used to scour the beaches of Boca Raton for seashells and other ocean detritus. She would make elaborate crafts, beshelled jewelry boxes and styrofoam spheres, beshelled frames for her paintings, sometimes also of ocean detritus. Her skin was leathery, and after she died, my cousins and I were all fascinated by the evidence of her final interrupted act, a large brown burn on the carpet next to her bed. Or maybe only I was. Once we were on the sand, the darker part rendered softer and more solid by the sea. There's salt water in my eye, and I asked her to spit in it to clean it out, and her saliva tasted like cigarettes. But why would I ask for that? And the eye cannot taste? Was this her idea, an old wives' thing, or a dream? It can't be that. I've never smoked, and the taste is behind my eyes even now. The watch. He keeps bringing me things, my mother tells me. He brought me 3 Hanukkah gifts before it even started. Sometimes the gifts are cash, so she puts the money back in his account so that he has money to give her more gifts. Or to buy the wrong kind of soap. He's always buying the wrong kind of soap. He brought her his watch, told her to give it to me. You only have one watch, Dad, she said. He says he doesn't need to know the time anymore. He's told it enough. Trapping. Before they had to sell the house, my father would trap the backyard squirrels that ate his sunflowers, bring them to a field he called Blue Bonnets after the horse racing track that used to be there, where he once had a summer job taking horses out to pee. In conjunction with the traps, he would sit on our deck and shoot a BB gun to scare away the squirrels. He didn't mean to hit them, but sometimes he did. Once, he had to put a wounded squirrel out of its misery. He stopped both the trapping and the shooting because he felt the backyard squirrels were acting bizarrely, wasn't sure if they had brain damage from accidental hits or were the grown-up kits of exiled squirrels, never taught the ways of the world. Also, a neighbor complained of BBs landing on her deck. You know what? That's probably why he stopped. Plumbing. A few months back, the toilet handle stopped responding, hung limply. I was proud to fix it, to replace the broken plastic, reconnect the chain. And then a burbling that wouldn't stop, no leaking, no running. Reddit told me a flapper issue, so I went to the hardware store, bought a new flapper. The old flapper left black smears all over my hand, the rubber disintegrating. I had to rifle through a bottom drawer to find some lube to get the new flapper on. The toil ensured success, I thought, but the burbling didn't stop unless I submerged my hand in the water of the tank. That made it stop. Which meant the problem was in fact the float, my father said, which is connected to the fill valve, a more complicated proposition beyond my chain and flapper skills. So my father came over with a new fill valve, the floats are integrated, internal now, and fixed the problem and only twice screamed at the top of his lungs. It scared the dog, my mother said, but at least she was with him and my fiancé in the other room. You see, I said later to my fiancé, it's good we let her come over too. She was good for the dog. Calla lilies. My grandfather used to buy his now ex-wife calla lilies. Even when they weren't getting along, the lilies just kept coming, once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes more, and for a while I said they were my favorite flowers, the shape, the clean lines, the luxury, until a near stranger said they were a tacky 90s relic. I don't really like having favorite things anyway, so I gave them up, and when I bring my fiancé flowers, it's a different kind each time, even though I know he has favorites. It's best, I think, not to get too attached. If the story were that my grandfather kept bringing his then soon-to-be ex-wife different sorts of flowers, well, less rock and hill, I'd say. Last one, this one's about fucking. Face sitting. There's a furniture store near our condo owned by a man whose face I once sat on for a quarter hour or longer. He wanted me to sit on his face, that was clear from our first exchanges, and so I did, after we chatted and showered in his condo overlooking the canal that our condo also overlooks, or would, if it weren't for the unit next to ours. His face was the first that I sat on, and afterward I thought that sitting on faces and having my face sat on would be a normal part of my active adult sex life. But his face might still be the only one I've sat on, and I can't evoke the feeling of having mine sat on, so I guess that hasn't happened. I never thought I'd own a condo near that canal, though, and I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it for our readers tonight. Thank you to all our readers. Thank you, Zoe, Curtis, Gwen, and Misha. Let's give them a round. Thank you. Feel free to enjoy this space until around oh yes, shout out to our photographer, Biz. Biz Archives on Instagram. Yes, I will. I'm about to say that. Yeah, enjoy the space. Do not drink outside. If you are the cause for us to lose our liquor permit, I will hunt you down personally and kill myself. Enjoy the night. Yeah, until 12-ish, 12:30. Love you. Thank you for coming out.